Hi guys, welcome to Let's Talk BD, the official podcast of the BD School, the first educational platform entirely dedicated to business development. Here we interview business development professionals working in the field every day, as well as startup founders, so they can give you all the insights, tips, and best practices to help you become a better business development professional. Let's get ready for the next episode. Hi everyone, welcome to the new episode of Let's Talk BD podcast. Today we have not one but three guests actually. We have India, Nicu and Philip from a startup that we're following for a few months. It's called Fitee. And the reason why we asked them to be here today is that their startup is actually really young. It's just 120 days old. So just slightly 3 months. And we thought it would be maybe really cool to interview someone that is starting with the company now, maybe can help some of you that have the same ambitions of creating a startup, but also because usually when you hear about startups, you usually listen about startups that made it. And sometimes we forget the process to get in there and to making it. So we thought maybe it was a good idea to ask Fiti what's going on right now so that we can have some more realistic testimonial of how it is to start a company from scratch. So without further ado, I'm very happy to introduce you the guys. So maybe India, you want to start with a brief intro, and then the same for Nicu and Philip, and then we go through the questions.
Of course. Thank you so much for having us on your podcast. I'm India. I am originally from England, and I'm 23 years old, and I decided to start studying in Amsterdam for international sport management and business, as well as my colleagues Philip and Nicolai. We came up with this idea, this kind of like brain fart about maybe less than a year ago because of COVID. I really have a huge passion for sports. And I myself struggle to find myself a community within Amsterdam. And we'll tell you a little bit more about the idea as it progresses. But I'll hand it over to Nicolai.
Awesome. Thank you, India.
Yeah, so hello, everyone. Lucia, thank you for having us once again. I'm 22. I am from Moldova, and I'm also studying the same course as India does, International Sports Business and Management in Amsterdam. We started to speak with India around a year ago. We started to analyze the idea, to build up the concept. And here we are today, almost a year after, with our first product, or our first draft of our product, let's say.
Awesome. Amazing. Thank you, Nicu. And Philip, how about you?
Yes. Hello, everyone. And thanks for having us, Lucia. I'm Philip Biedermann. I'm 23 years old, and I'm half German, half Finnish. And after growing up in Germany, I also went to Amsterdam and studied the same thing as India and Nicu did, international sports management. We've now been working on this idea for a few months, and I'm very excited to share more with you as this progresses.
Awesome, guys. That's a super international team, very diverse, which, personally, I think it's always the best when it comes to building a company. So you really have very diverse set of ideas, probably. But, before we dive more into Fiti and how it is to have your own startup, what motivated you to have a company in the first place? So what is it, really your motivation in doing this?
So basically, the motivation started from passion. I think we all obviously have a clear passion in sports, and we're in a business program, so we have that entrepreneurship mindset. But really, we kind of we get the opportunity to do internships within our course, our bachelor's, and what better to do it, start up a business when you're a student. You have all the support, the safety. We have a lot more resources than a lot of people might have once you finished your education. And also, we're super young, and we might as well make the most of our youth using our creativity. I wanted to do an entrepreneurship startup in something that I was passionate about. I think the boys agree on that. They also wanted to get head start on the sports industry. And I think there's a real gap in the market for freelancers.
Awesome. And how about you, Philip?
Yeah, I mean, I can only agree with what India said. I always thought it was super interesting and exciting to have your own startup, to work for yourself and do something for other people, help out with the community, and in our case, to just increase what people want to do and can do, especially when it comes to sports. And especially because I've experienced that same problem by myself when I came to Amsterdam or when I did an internship in London. There was always this moment when, where can I find the right sporting opportunity now? And I experienced it again and again. So I was like, hey, I see a problem. Let me try to find a solution for it and work on it because it's exciting and it's my passion.
Awesome. Thank you, Philip. And Nicu, how about you? I know that you're almost a serial entrepreneur because this is your second startup. So where does your passion for entrepreneurship come from?
That's a really good point. Actually, it started last year when I did my minor also in entrepreneurship, and we tried to have a new company. And back then I understood that I really liked this entrepreneurial environment, that I really like to work in high uncertainty situations. And when we discussed with India the idea, the concept, I really liked it, and I really found myself in the shoes of those persons. So I decided that, yeah, that's a great idea. And I really enjoy working, having a flexible schedule, and I don't know, just finding the right solution for the right people.
Awesome. That's really cool, guys. And I can totally agree. So I'm 32 now and I started my company 3 years ago. And I can definitely relate to what India said. I think anyone that is young should totally, if you have some ambitions of having your startup, definitely do it early on, because there is, this lightness into doing it. And also you're more risk takers, you're more bold, and you can really learn a lot. So I think that's the best move to do it when you're young. But so now that we know more about you, tell us more about this Fitee. So what it is precisely that you're doing with your company.
Yeah, so what we do here with Fitee is that we want to create a marketplace. And this is a marketplace in which we want to connect people that offer sports. So for example, freelancers, personal trainers, and yoga instructors, to the ones that look for it. So anyone that is interested in sports, that has a passion for it, that wants to maybe try out a new sport, or just loves to do sports on a regular basis. And we want to build that connection through our marketplace, whilst at the same time creating a community for everyone, for the freelancers, for the customers, and anyone that just likes to be active, healthy, and inclusive.
Nice. That's really cool. And as mentioned at the beginning, these are your first 120 days. So very young. Of course, you've been thinking about it for about a year already. So the concept was already there in the making, but really you started just 3 months ago, more or less. So how would you describe these first 120 days in one word, if possible?
I think for me, I would say unpredictable.
Yeah, I can see myself in that. And you guys?
Yeah, for me, it's something similar. For me, it's hectic. You don't know what to expect.
Cool. And Philip, do you have a different experience maybe?
My experience isn't that different, but I think the word I would use to describe this is a roller coaster. There's a lot of ups and downs, but it's always exciting.
Nice. Yeah, I can relate. Having a startup myself, I can totally relate. It's hectic, it's a roller coaster, but at the end of the day, it's also one of the best jobs I think one can have. So, what did you do in these first 120 days? So I think most of the startups, as I was mentioning before, we always hear about, the success stories once they made it big, but we never know what happens in those first months, in those first weeks, in which you're probably very excited and you're working on so many different things. But what are these things? So what did you do in these first 120 days?
So when we decided we want to work for Fitee and want to start, there was a few small projects that started at the same time. The one of them was the analysis of the market, just doing research, seeing if the idea we have is actually a problem that is out there, or if it's only us, to see if people are interested to maybe use Fitee, if there's freelancers that need the help. That was the one part. But it was about us looking at competition and seeing what are our own USPs. What can we offer that isn't there already? How can we build this brand around Fitee while still being distinctive and different? And then lastly, since we want to create a marketplace, I think it was very important to build up start right away. So one big part was the creation of a website, which we now finally have.
Awesome. Well, that seems a lot of research, definitely. And I'm very happy to hear because, well, the ones of you that listen to the podcast for a while already, they probably know by now that I'm very into research. I think it's really the foundation of everything. So I'm very happy that you guys worked on that. And what was the most challenging thing you faced so far in these first months?
So I think for me, the most challenging thing was just balancing your expectations, or personally my expectations. Obviously, it was super exciting, super new. We'd done a pretty decent amount of research. So in my head, I kind of figured that the results would happen kind of within 1 or 2 weeks. For example, we did an event, a boot camp event. And we posted it on our social media. We made flyers and everything. And then on the day, I think probably 6 people turned up. And of that 6, 4 of them were our friends. So I became deflated because I suddenly thought that we'd have like 20 people and they'd all be new and all this stuff. But so for me, that was the biggest challenge because you put in a lot of work and you don't get it back immediately. But we're starting to see results now, and having managed our expectations and basically releasing the pressure from ourselves, it's a lot more realistic and definitely more exciting because, it's happier to see that things are working in a different pace.
Nice. Yeah, that's very true. And I went through that as well. And I'm very proud of you guys because you went over that much faster than what I did. And I think that's also the beauty of having co-founders, right? Because then you can really, you have a sounding board that can really help you get through these challenges. And guys, how was it for you? So what was the most challenging thing for you two?
Well, from my side, it's more of personal stuff. So when we're doing the research, obviously we did research. Usually it's boring, but you have to do it in order to have a good product. And we had to do some repetitive tasks, and just go for it. Also, we did a lot of active research, so not that desk research, but going outside, speaking with people. And because I'm more introverted, for me that was really hard. So personally, that was a big challenge for me. But at the end, we received some good results, good feedback. So yeah.
Oh, nice. And Nicu, just building up on that, because I know that so many people, of course, have ambitions of having their companies, but sometimes they are a bit introverted and they get really scared about having to talk to people and so on. So since you face this challenge, how did you get over it? So how did you do to talk to people, although you're an introvert?
Yeah, so it's you just have an inner feeling and you know that you have to go. And especially if you have co-founders, you know that other people, they lie. You feel the pressure from outside that you have to do it. So when you're just talking to other people, you just have to turn off all your emotions, think rationally, and just don't be a bit, let's say, selfish. So don't think about other people and just ask your questions, even though it may feel uncomfortable sometimes. So there's no clear path for that. You just go there and try it.
Nice. So just do it, basically.
Exactly.
Nice. Cool. And Philip, how about you?
I mean, I think for me, the most challenging thing so far is that, and I think I speak for myself, I don't only speak for myself, that whilst being a young entrepreneur, but also any entrepreneur in general, is that there's not just one fixed formula you can use to become successful. And for us, especially being very young, especially being pretty much still in university doing our bachelor's, there was a lot of different things and different approaches we could use, but we didn't really know which was the best one. So there was a lot of experimenting and trying to figure out which is the best way to attract freelancers and it just takes a lot of time to do one step after the other. And at some point, you will eventually figure out what is the best way. But you have to realize that you can do as much desk research as you want to. But at some point, you just have to try it. And at some point, it hopefully works.
Awesome. Yeah, totally. And, of course, we're here because we're business developers. And I always say as a founder, you're always the first business developer in the company. And I can totally see some of the things, that you mentioned, like Nicu before mentioned that, sometimes doing research is boring, but you must do it because otherwise, you end up with a crappy product. So for those of you listening, guys, do take this as a learning point because I think it's very important. And then just what Philip said, like business development is really about finding the right way. So you're going to have to try many different things. And sometimes things don't happen fast enough, as India was saying. So guys, I think you really summarize business development in such a beautiful way. So thank you so much for that. And that leads me to the next question. So what does it mean to do business development, really on these first days of the company? We already mentioned research and of course, like getting out of the comfort zone. But what other business development things have you been doing, or what does it mean for you to do business development at this stage?
So business development, as we see it, like it's a process. It's a process of creating value in the long term for your organization, your customers. So being in a startup is really hard to think in the long term. So that's why we struggled a bit at the beginning, because we had big goals, big ambitions, but they were not realistic. That's why we had to do some research, as we said, and also our university teachers helped us. Our mentors, Lucia is our mentor, by the way. She also helped us, gave us advices. And also we just try to contact as many people as possible, industry experts, for example, to have a touch of what's happening. The same with freelancers. We just didn't know what to do and how to create value for them. That's why we spoke with them many times. We had many interviews. So in the beginning, it's really hard to have a grasp of what's business development, but now we are starting to understand how we can create value for our organization and for customers.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicu. Anything else you want to add, guys?
I don't think so, to be honest. I think part of the business development for me was also just similar to what Nicu said, learning for yourself. We've done a lot of research in our own departments. For example, like I'm in the marketing. I literally just read loads of articles on what makes a successful. But also using your contacts and not being afraid to just ask large groups of people, throw yourself out there on Facebook chats, ask universities, friends, family, just really exploiting your own resources, really.
Nice. I like this idea of exploiting the resources. And I think, like one good thing of business development is also this one, right? So you should, more than exploit, I like to say leverage your connections because they can really amplify everything you're doing. And India, you really give me a good assist. Well, since we're in terms sport, in topic sports. So you mentioned that, literally, like there were many things that you didn't know. So you just had to read articles and so on. So my question for the three of you is, how do you deal with stuff that you don't know how to do? Because of course it's a challenge for many people, especially for those that are about to start but they're really scared, that is not going to work out, or maybe they don't know enough. What's the best approach for that? What do you do in that case?
I think in that case the best approach is to just, on the one hand side, ask as many questions and to as many people as you can. It doesn't mean if it's, your friends, your family, your mentor or a teacher or anyone that has any idea about it. Just ask and see if you can take anything from it. And then secondly is that you should just try, because without trying, you don't know if it works. And if you try and it doesn't work, then you learn from it and you can try it in a different way after and try again and again. And eventually, it hopefully will work.
Nice. Thanks, Philip. And how about you guys, India and Nicu?
I also wanted to add to Philip's yourself. So if you don't know, to say, okay, I don't know that. Let me think how can I fix it. Otherwise, you're going to fool yourself that you know something that you actually don't. So better to pinpoint the problem early on and start asking and research, joining it with you along.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. I would say then staying humble is the best way. Cool, guys. And so you mentioned before that, of course, you have a network and you try to leverage it as much as you can. So what is your support system? So who are the people near you? Well, of course, besides me, the best mentor you could have. I like to take the credit now, but just kidding. Besides that, besides me, who else is your support system? So who's helping you out in this first stage?
I mean, obviously, you are hands down the best mentor.
Yes.
Obviously, that's without question. But as well as having a fabulous Lucia, we are lucky enough to still have very close contacts with our university. For example, we also have we have more like coaches who are more individualized per like co-founders. So Nikolai has his coach, I have my coach, and Philip has a different coach. And they have a more outside perspective. So they don't really know the ins and outs of the business, which is kind of useful because we talk to them like once every couple of months, which helps give them a proper outlay of how we progressed. And they're good for like occasional advice. And then we also have, of course, our angel investor. He has been hugely helpful, not only financing our startup, but also providing us with crucial information from his own experience. He is currently a CEO of a telecommunications company. So he's got plenty of important contacts, useful information. And the government, the Dutch government, we're currently undergoing various meetings, trying to find more funding, but also we've been attending a couple of events, which help us with like advice, support on like PR or customer service. It's just finding what's out there, using your tools, using Google. You search up Google, like, I don't know, startup events, and there's so much stuff going on out there. Universities are hosting them, companies are hosting them. There's also loads of free places for offices. If you just look, it's actually quite easy to find how many people out there to help you.
Awesome. That's really cool. And yeah, once again, it's really nice to hear that you understood that really early on in the stage, right? Because I see sometimes like even people that are in the business for a long time, sometimes they just don't want to ask, for help, or they just don't want to ask people around because, I don't know, maybe they're scared that people are going to think they don't know anything. While, yeah, I think the best approach is really the one you have now, and really about just going for it, asking questions and see what comes out from these interactions. Awesome. And so guys, of course, you just started, so you have a bright future ahead. I'm curious to know, what's your vision for Fitee? So how is it going to be 5 years from now, maybe longer? So how far does your vision go? And what's your vision for Fitee?
I mean, our vision, if I would read it, would be something along the lines that we want to connect everyone at any time and any place with the right sporting opportunity, and to make sure that they all, if they want to, can meet each other, meet new people, and be sociable. When we look into the future in a few years or 5 years from now, I mean, everything is still new, but we would obviously, starting in Amsterdam now, want to expand into many major cities, starting in Europe, but maybe also at some point become a global brand. We are very eager to expand internationally, to start offering many types of sports and events and meetups. So not just personal trainings as we have for now, but kind of saying it like we want to create a new Facebook just for sports, if that makes sense. Become international brand, get people to know Fitee, who we are and what we can offer. I think this is our goals for the next few years.
Really cool. And do you all share the same, guys?
Absolutely, yeah, 100% agree. I think we can go places, and so far all the feedback we've got is pretty positive. So it gives me a lot of optimism.
Awesome. Nice. And Nicu, how excited are you?
And the same as everyone said, it's really hard to have really specific goals for the long term as we are only 3 months old. But overall, I think this is the direction we want to go and the points we want to achieve.
Awesome. And guys, before you leave, because of course you all love sports, but what are your favorite sports?
Okay, so I think I'll start. So mine is cycling and Formula One. That's the sports I practice. Unfortunately, not Formula One, just watching. But those are my favorite sports.
Nice. And the Netherlands is perfect for cycling. No mountains whatsoever.
Exactly. It can be more perfect than that.
Indeed. And you guys?
I have a huge variety of sports that I'm into. I originally started off with cross-country running, which is like super individualized. But now I'm really into just general fitness. I love playing squash. I've actually found a few people through the Fitee community who want to play squash with me. And yoga, Zumba, anything. I'm very, very diverse in my sports.
Oh, so yeah, as I said many times in our weekly chats, I always say that you're the most sportive of the team. I was not wrong.
The boys be boys.
And you, Philip, what's your favorite sport?
I mean, as a German, my favorite sport has to be football, which I've been doing for many, many years. Mm-hmm. I also started playing tennis a few years ago, and I'm getting into my... Yes, that's also your sport, if I remember correctly.
Indeed.
Yes, and I'm slowly getting into fitness, but it's always a hard one to stick to it and keep going.
Nice. Yeah, I have the same feeling for that. Like, I love tennis because it's also a game besides a sport. So there are a lot of elements included, but just the fitness part, I'm not that consistent. But maybe as soon as you launch in Rotterdam, I might find someone on Fitee. So maybe I can use it. Awesome.
Exactly, yeah.
Nice, guys. So for all our listeners here in the podcast, if they want to find you and follow your journey in these days, how can they do that? So where can they find you?
I mean, our website's called fitiesports.com. That should pop up if you type it in. If you want to follow us on our socials, just go on Instagram and type in Fitee_sports. And on Facebook, I think it's the Fitee Sports Amsterdam community.
Awesome. And everyone totally follow the Instagram page. They always put a lot of really interesting content about nutrition, about sports and so on. So super practical and very useful tips. So this is also the last bit of our episode. Thank you so much, guys. It was really insightful. And I really hope it's going to help some of you guys listening to, take the leap of faith, start your company if you want to, or start your side project that you always wanted to do. It is fun, it's exciting, it's also challenging, but nothing that you cannot tackle. So thank you guys for being here today. I will see you next week for our weekly mentoring session. And everyone listening, thank you, and see you at the next episode.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lucia.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, and have a nice day.
Bye, guys.